وأقول في القرآن ما جاءت به آياته فهو الكريم المنزال وأقول قال الله جل جلاله والمصطفى الهادي ولا أتأول.
الحمد لله رب العالمين له الحمد الحسن والثناء الجميل وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له يقول الحق وهو يهدي السبيل وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه والتابعين لهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. My beloved brothers and sisters, inshallah ta'ala, today is going to be our last and final session on the kitab Laamiyatu al-Af'aal. And that doesn't mean we're not going to continue the book. Yes, we will, inshallah ta'ala. The book will be continued, or it will carry on, inshallah ta'ala, the explanation. The whole entire book will be taught after the Dawra Ilmiya finishes, inshallah ta'ala. We're halfway now. What is left is half of the book. So we're going to need another roughly another 10 hours taqriban to finish what is remaining from the book, inshallah ta'ala, which will take another 5 days, inshallah ta'ala. So the way that would happen, inshallah ta'ala, you will be notified and informed about it. But today we're going to be taking only the fasl fi ahkam al-mudari'. And also we're going to do a recap of the whole entire book from the first day until what we've taken today as a recap, inshallah ta'ala. And I encourage every single one of you, inshallah ta'ala, who's watching this, to keep going over it again and again and again, the videos. Watch it again and again and again. So that when the new videos come out, you're up to date. You've understood it very well. And that you can take that in the new classes, the new lessons, you will be able to take it on because you've understood what was previously taught. So it gives you a chance, inshallah ta'ala, to get ahead and delve deep into, inshallah ta'ala, into the upcoming classes, inshallah ta'ala. So take notes, brothers and sisters, and write a lot. This brain that we have, brothers and sisters, if you don't challenge it and you don't push it to its limits, the brain becomes slow and it becomes low. The person starts to become very immature. That person's mind is so low. It's only because this person has not in any way, shape or form expanded their thinking process. They've not challenged their mind, try to see things and look into things. So whenever something becomes hard, brothers and sisters, if you throw yourself back and say, oh, this is not for me, I'm not fast at, mashallah, learning things, these kind of equations and these kind of principles, I won't be able to understand it. If you say that to yourself, brothers and sisters, you're never going to grow. Mentally, you're not going to grow. Challenge this brain. Every information that anyone tries to tell you, put your finger up if you don't understand it. Say, I don't understand this. Can you explain it to me, inshallah ta'ala? And open your mind and heart to take that information, whatever it is. If it's scientific equations, maths, if it's Arabic language, whatever it is, open your mind to learn things, to understand things. Whatever you do, brothers and sisters, don't become a hamaj, ra'a, atba'i kulli na'iq. Someone says something, you just take it and you say it straight away without understanding it. Try to understand it. Try to take it in. Take it in with understanding. And I remember, wallahi, in my course of my talab, my seeking knowledge, there were times when I felt shy maybe to ask the Shaykh this question. Maybe because I thought it wasn't the right time, or I thought the Shaykh might see me in a certain way, or etc. It happens to a lot of students of knowledge. That information became hard for me to understand it years later as well. And I could have understood it if I just put my finger up and said, Shaykh, at this point I didn't understand it. There was one certain brother I remember, subhanallah, he would always ask questions if he didn't understand it. He was never embarrassed to ask. And he was never embarrassed to say, I still haven't understood it. And he didn't care what people said about him. And guess what, brothers and sisters? He became one of the best students that I'd seen in my life when it comes to seeking knowledge. Because he asked. Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhuma was asked, يعني كيف حصلت العلم, how did you attain knowledge? And he said بلسان سؤول. I ask questions. I asked the right questions. Asking questions is important, brothers and sisters. Of course, you ask a question once you've tried to understand it and you're still not understanding it. But you daze off and you just think about other things, and then you come back and you say, Sheikh, what did he say? Repeat yourself. That's a problem on your side. Focus. You still didn't understand it. You tried, you still didn't understand it. Don't be shy to ask. Brothers and sisters, challenge your brain. Wallah. Challenge it. Push it to its limits. Because the brain, amazing enough, it can understand a lot of things. It can memorize a lot of things. It's like your stomach. Stomach, if you eat a lot, it asks for more. It demands for more. And if you eat little, the stomach becomes small. The brain is the same. If it takes in more, it asks for more, and it expands. The more you put it, the more it expands. The more you put it, the more it expands. And the more it can memorize and learn. So this is my advice. Sarf is not hard. It is not hard. But it's tricky. It's not hard. It's not something you can't attain. It just needs focus. Other classes you can daze off, you can come back, and you still understand where the Shaykh is, what he's talking about. Sarf, the minute he opens his mouth, until he says, Subhanakallahumma bihamdih, all of that you have to be listening, writing down, listening, writing down, listening. And some people, brothers and sisters, that's what they don't like. That's what's hard on them. I can't focus all through that. They want to pick up their phone, they want to do this and they want to do that. So inshallah ta'ala, in summary, what I'm trying to say is, brothers and sisters, just because something's hard doesn't mean you have to walk away from it. If you do walk away from it, then what you have admitted to is that that thing can determine your outcome. That thing can choose for you what you can or can't do. Never should you let anything tell you that you can't do it. No, I can do it and I will do it, and you go forward for it. I remember the line of poetry that I mentioned before the Dawra Ilmiya started. اطلب ولا تضجر من مطلب فآفة الطالب أن يضجره أما ترى الماء بتكراره في الصخرة الصماء قد أثره. Seek knowledge and go far and be consistent and keep going, keep going, keep going, and don't give up. The worst thing a student of knowledge can suffer from, brothers and sisters, is what? The worst thing a person can suffer from is to give up. That's the worst thing for a talib ilm. To say, you know what, I've done it, I can't do it anymore. That's the worst thing a student of knowledge can suffer from. The poet then said, فَآفَةُ الطَّالِبِ أَن يَضْجَرَ. When the harm for a student of knowledge is to give up and say, I can't do this anymore. أَمَا تَرَى الْمَاءَ. Do you not see the water? بِتَكْرَارِهِ, with its repetition, فِي الصَّخْرَةِ الصَّمَّاءِ قَدْ أَثَّرَ. That it was able to affect a rock. Water. بِاللَّطَافَتِهِ. Water that's soft, delicate, was able to penetrate rock and make a dent inside a rock. How? Repetition. Repetition. Consistently, the water kept dropping on that particular or that certain place of the rock. Finally, it became black and it dented it. You're telling me you can't you can't pierce through knowledge like that? You can't dent through knowledge? Sarf and Nahu. They said a man one day wanted to study Nahu and Sarf, and it was so complicated. It became very hard for him. It's very hard. He tried his best. He tried. Some things just did not make sense to him. So he got up and he went towards he went outside and he said, you know what, Sarf and Nahu is not for me. I'm going to go. And guess what he did? He went to the well to get water for himself out of and he threw his bucket in, wanted to get water out, and he saw the rope that was holding the bucket and also attached to the well that was going down and up. How it was making a mark on the rock. Rope was making a mark on the rock, and it made a dent in the rock. So he looked and he looked and he looked and he saw the rope how it was making a line when it went up and down, how it made a line on the rock. And he said, Subhanallah, who's stronger, both of them? And the rope is not, the rock is stronger. The rope is not as strong as the rock. But the rope won when it came to continuation. Which one of them won? The rope won. How? The rope was consistently doing it to one spot, one certain spot, and it made a mark on it. So for him, I can't do the same. I am not able to. This is where the issue came from for him. And then he went and he said, I am not going to let nahu, or sarf, stop me from, I'm not going to feel, or I'm not going to be a person who feels that I can't attain knowledge. I'm not going to be like that. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to exert the efforts that I needed, and I'm going to make sure I do it. And he went and he sought knowledge. They say a man, his name was Khalid al-Azhari. His name was what? His name was Khalid al-Azhari. Khalid al-Azhari, they say that he used to pour tea for the students in Jami'at al-Azhar. He was, muhibban lil khair, he loved khair, he loved doing good. Okay? So, one day he poured tea for one of the students in the Jami'ah. Or was it, Jami' al-Azhar? Was it the masjid? I don't know. Was it the university? Allahu a'lam. But he was pouring tea for the students. And one of the students, his notes, Khalid al-Azhari poured tea on it. And the student said, Ya Jahil, oh you ignorant man. Khalid al-Azhari, the statement, you ignorant man, hurt him so badly. Hated it. Ali ibn Abi Talib said once upon a time, he said, كَفَى بِالْعِلْمِ شَرَفًا أَنْ يَدَّعِيهِ مَنْ لَا يُحْسِنُهُ وَكَفَى بِالْجَهْلِ قُبْحًا أَنْ يَتَبَرَّأَ مِنْهُ مَنْ هُوَ فِيهِ. The enough for knowledge is everybody will claim it, even the one who doesn't have it. But ignorance, enough to show you how evil ignorance is. Every single person will free himself from ignorance, even the one who is ignorant. So he was like, ignorant? He put down the tea, went, and they said he sought knowledge. And he sought, at the old age, Khalid al-Azhari, he sought the knowledge of what? Of Nahu. And was considered one of the greatest grammarians of our time. Prolific in grammar. Nahu and Lugha al-Arabiyyah, he was good. Became solid and great in that regard. Okay? He wrote many books. Mu'assilu al-Tullab, Mu'assilu al-Tullab, however you want to say it. He wrote في قواعد الإعراب. And he wrote a kitab called قواعد الإعراب. He explained it, called it مؤصل الطلاب, مؤصل الطلاب, where he teaches the student the principles of إعراب. He gives you قواعد rahimahullah rahmatan wasi'ah. So what my point is, brothers and sisters, is do not give up. Just don't give up. The other day I watched a video online on YouTube where there was a turtle and was it a rabbit? They were racing. The rabbit, every time it runs, it stops and it looks around. But the turtle, slow and steady. It's just going and going and going and going. Guess who won? The turtle won the race. The turtle won the race. Why? It's not who goes fast. Just because there's a brother in the class or there's a sister in your class and she's fast in understanding things and they taking the information quick does not necessarily mean that they're going to pass you. Sometimes it's just slow and steady. Just keep going. Consistency and continuation, you will get there inshallah ta'ala. And ask Allah for help. If Allah doesn't aid you, وَقُلْ رَبِّ زِدْنِي عِلْمًا, ask Allah for aid and support, and inshallah ta'ala you will attain it. So that was a little encouragement for some of the students who are there, who are trying, they're coming every day, and they feel like, this is maybe not for me, I can't do this. Just inshallah ta'ala, I hope this is an encouragement for you to not stop. Bi-idhnillahi al-kareem. And my bad explanation shouldn't be a reason for it to put you off. Maybe there's someone else out there, inshallah ta'ala, who's good in explaining this concepts and better in articulating these points, that you can learn it better from them. Just don't let it put you off when it comes to seeking knowledge, brothers and sisters. This is something great, something prolific. Go towards it. Go towards it. So again, brothers and sisters, we're going to be stopping inshallah ta'ala at faslu fi ahkami al-mudari'. That being said though, we're going to resume after inshallah ta'ala I finish my Manzumatu Zamzami. Manzumatu Zamzami inshallah ta'ala, I'm going to finish it all of it bi'idhnillah al-kareem in the next 3 days that are remaining from our Know Your Knowledge conference. But the Laamiyatu, today is going to be the last day for it inshallah ta'ala. So I ask Allah tabarak wa ta'ala bimannihi wa karamihi, I ask him subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah makes it easy for me subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allahumma la sahla illa ma ja'altahu sahla. Oh Allah, there's nothing easy except that which you make easy. Allahumma allimna ma yanfa'una wa zidna ilma yanfa'una wa la taj'al fi ma 'allamtana wa balan 'alayna. Ibrahim, faddal, inshallah ta'ala, read for us.
فصل في المضارع. ببعض نأتي المضارع افتتح وله ضم إذا بالرباعي مطلقا وصلا وافتحه متصلا بغيره ولغير الياء كسرا أجز في الآتي من فعلا أو ما تصدر همز الوصل فيه أو التاء زائدا كتزكى وهو قد نقلا في الياء وفي غيرها نلحق بأبا أو ما له الوفاء النحو قد وجدا.
The author rahimahullah, here he talks about ahkam al-mudari'. Brothers and sisters, the mudari' that we're going to be talking about here is called, write this down, al-mudari' al-shamil. Al-mudari' al-shamil. What does that mean? It means a comprehensive mudari'. The one that we previously took is known as al-mudari' al-hashu. Al-mudari' al-hashu. What does that mean? The previous mudari' that we were talking about was aynul kalima, right? That's the one we was dealing with. Yani fi'l mudari' aynul kalima, right? Today's one, inshallah ta'ala, which is this mudari' that we're going to be talking about here, is different to the previous one, which is that it's al-mudari' al-shamil. Okay? Why is it called shamil? Because يشمل الأول وقبل الآخر. It encompasses the rulings regarding the first letter and the second to last. Yeah? The one before the last. That's one reason why it's called shamil, because from that perspective it's shamil. It's also shamil because the previous one, which was known as al-mudari' al-hashwi, only dealt with what? The thulathi, right? The madi that comes from a thulathi. Like in this one is going to also deal with what? Yani that which is ruba'i and khumasi and sudasi. It's not restricted to just a thulathi. Are we all together? So this mudari' is called al-mudari' al-shamil. Guled, why is it called al-mudari' al-shamil? I mentioned two reasons. MashaAllah, Guled. The reason why it's called al-mudari' al-shamil is because yashmalu al-awwali wa qabla al-akhiri. Okay. Sa'ad, what is the second reason why it's called al-mudari' al-shamil?
Because it deals with the ruba'i.
So yashmalu al-thulathi wa ghayruhu. It encompasses the thulathi and also other than it. Sa'ad, that's correct as well. So it's the thulathi, the ruba'i, the khumasi, the sudasi, all of it. So that's why this one is called al-mudari' al-shamil. That's what it's called. Brothers, I want you to focus here. When it comes to the mudari' and we want to learn about mudari', there are 9 questions that you're going to be asked about it. You have to be able to answer these 9 questions. So I'm going to first mention all the 9 questions, bi'idhnillahi al-bari, and then the answers for it. Okay? 3 of those questions they are مصرحة. مصرحة, they are مصرحة في النظم, they are clear in the نظم. يعني Ibn Malik mentions those three. From the 9 questions that you're going to be asked about يعني المضارع, يعني my sheikh used to say وقد ذكروا لهذا المضارع 9 أسئلة. They have mentioned, يعني the صرفيين, the ulama, they've mentioned 9 questions when it comes to the mudari'. If you can't answer these 9 questions, you don't know the mudari'. You have to have an answer for each. Does that make sense? These are the 9 questions you're going to get asked about the mudari'. Before I go into it, what did I say the al-mudari' al-shamil is? What did I say the mudari' al-shamil is? What does it encompass? So the first letter and the second to last. Why doesn't it not encompass the last? The last is grammar. The last is dealt by the nuhat, the grammarians. Just remember that. I just wanted to just go back to that point. Somebody might ask and say, what about the last? Why are you guys ignoring the last for? The last has nothing to do with sarf. Sarf doesn't care about the last. The last is the grammarians. هو الإعراب تغيير أواخر الكلم لاختلاف العوامل الداخلة عليها لفظا أو تقديرا. صح? That's what إعراب is, right? What does the نظم the نظم ابن عبد ربه, what does he say? إعراب. What does he say? نظم أجرومية. الإعراب. The نظم ابن عبد ربه that you memorized. Yeah. الإعراب.
الإعراب تغيير أواخر الكلم.
هي.
تقدير أو لفظا.
فذقت. Yeah. الإعراب تغيير أواخر الكلم.
تقدير أو لفظا.
فذقت. So الإعراب is what? Like Ibn Ajurrum, الآجرامية, what does he say? He says الإعراب هو التغيير الأواخر الكلم لاختلاف العوامل الداخلة عليها لفظا أو تقديرا. So إعراب is to look at the last حركة, what the علامة is on it. أحوال أواخر الكلم. يعني looking at يعني أحوال أواخر الكلم, that's إعراب. So that's the point I just wanted to go. That I wanted to go back to. Now I want to go to inshallah ta'ala the 9 questions that the scholars ask. If you don't answer these 9 questions, you don't know what the mudari' is missing from you. Okay? So the first question inshallah ta'ala, the first 3 questions that I'm going to ask, the first 3 are going to be answered by Ibn Malik in his Laamiyatu al-Af'aal. And then the other remaining 6, he doesn't answer, I will give you the answer for it. Okay, so let me first ask the questions and then we speak about the answers inshallah ta'ala. So I'm going to first say, the first question is, if you want to write it in Arabic, is ما يفتح به المضارع. ما يفتح, the ما here is istifhamiyya, right? ما يفتح به المضارع. What is it that we open the mudari' with? صح? Ibn Malik in his Laamiyah responds to that one. He gives it to you and he says it is when he says ببعض نأتي المضارع افتتح وله. صح? That line, it's what? It is يعني what do we start the mudari' with? That's the first question inshallah ta'ala. Okay? ببعض نأتي المضارع افتتح وله. That's the answer he gives inshallah ta'ala. We're going to come to it. The second question, okay, is ما يحرك به الحرف المفتتح به. The second question is what? The second question is ما يحرك به الحرف المفتتح به. What is the haraka? Okay, the first question is ما يفتح به المضارع. ما يفتح به المضارع. The second question is ما يحرك به الحرف المفتتح به. Okay, ما يحرك به الحرف المفتتح به, which basically means the harf that you started with, what haraka do you place on it? We'll come to the answer for that. Ibn Malik also responds to that, rahimahullah, is when he says وَلَهُ ضَمٌّ إِذَا بِالرُّبَاعِيِّ مُطْلَقًا وُصِلًا, until he says نحو قد وجلا. Yeah, Ibrahim, huh? You want me to repeat the second, Ibrahim? The second is ما يحرك به الحرف المفتتح به. الحرف المفتتح به. Have you written, Ibrahim? Yeah? Okay, good, that's good. Now.
ولغير الياء
Wait for a second. Wait, I haven't been. Okay. Give us 5 minutes, inshallah ta'ala. I'm going to come back, bi'idhnillahi al-kareem. 5 minutes, inshallah ta'ala. And we're going to resume the other remaining questions, inshallah ta'ala. Okay, so now let's carry on the questions that I was asking from the 9 questions. I said that the ulama said al-mudari'u, the mudari' has 9 questions attached to it. In order for you to understand the mudari', you have to be able to answer these 9 questions. ستة منها 6 of them أجوبتها محذوفة. The answers to them are basically not mentioned in the Nadhm. Ibn Malik doesn't mention them, rahimahullah. وثلاثة منها, 9 from those 10, it's مصرحة, it's directly mentioned في النظم, in the book, inshallah ta'ala. The first 3 that I'm going to mention, inshallah ta'ala, I mentioned 2 now, sah? The first 3 are going to be in the Nadhm. That's why I keep saying to Ibn Malik said, Ibn Malik said, Ibn Malik said. The other remaining 6 after that, he doesn't mention it, I'll mention it for you, bi'idhnillahi al-kareem. The second question is, again, just to repeat it, for those طلبة العلم who are writing, which is ما يحرك به الحرف المفتتح به. The ما here is istifhamiyah. What is it? Haraka. What's the haraka? The tashkil of the harf that we start the mudari' with. What's the tashkil and the haraka of it? I already mentioned to you Ibn Malik, he says وَلَهُ ضَمٌّ إِذَا بِالرُّبَاعِي, until he said قَدْ وَجِلَ. All of that, he's talking about what? مَا يُحَرَّكُ بِهِ الْحَرْفَ الْمُفْتَتَحُ بِهِ. Okay, then third question is ما حكم, what is the ruling of الحركة التي قبل آخره? What is the ruling of the haraka of the letter to the second last, right? Yani what's the second last letter? What's the haraka on it? What is the ruling on that? What's the qawa'id, the principles? What is it? What's the ruling on that? The second to last. Also Ibn Malik rahimahullah, he speaks about that from the line of Dhal Babi. Ha, Ibrahim. The third one is ما حكم الحركة. Ibrahim. The third one is ما حكم الحركة التي قبل آخره. ما حكم الحركة التي قبل آخره. Have you written, Ibrahim? And Ibn Malik speaks about it in where? When he says, so قد وجل is the second one, Abu. وله ضم إذا بالرباعي, until قد وجل, that's the second. The third one is ذا الباب. When Ibn Malik rahimahullah says ذا الباب يلزم إلى ماضيه قد حضل. Okay, that's going to be what? That one is the where he speaks about, inshallah ta'ala, the third question, which is what is the haraka التي قبل آخره. Does that make sense? Those 3, inshallah ta'ala, we're going to come to it in the what? In the Nadhm. Ibn Malik is going to mention in the Nadhm, so I'm not going to mention that one now. We're going to come to it later when we go to the Nadhm. Ibrahim's going to read it, I'm going to explain it from there. Let's go and focus on the 6 that he didn't mention, and then we come back to the ones he mentioned. The fourth one is لما زيدت. لما, the lam here is حرف من حروف الجر. Okay, the يعني لما زيدت, when we connected the lam here to it, it became what? No, not حرف من حروف الجر, sorry. يعني the lam is حرف جر. And then what do we do here? We remove the what? The when you put the lam here, the ما الاستفهام يحذف. أي نعم. It's من أدوات النصب, sorry. أداة من أدوات النصب. So no, sorry, it's حرف من حروف الجر. The ما is استفهامية, you remove the ألف الاستفهام. So you say, instead of say لما, you say لما. So you say لما زيدت هذه الحروف في أوله. Okay, لما زيدت. Why did we add on to هذه الحروف, these حروف في أوله at the beginning. Why did we add these حروف لما زيدت هذه الحروف هذه الحروف في أوله. These حروف, why did we put it in the beginning? So I'm going to answer from the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. I'm going to answer all of those. And the next remaining 6 I'm going to answer. Then I'm going to go, the 3 I'm going to answer it from the Nadhm, okay? Ibn Malik already mentions it. So the 4th one is لما زيدت هذه الحروف في أوله. Why were these حروف, why were they added to the what? To the beginning of the مضارع. And the حروف are أنيت. The حروف أنيت, why was it added to the beginning of the word? يعني the word was ضرب. Why did we add Hamza, Noon, Ya and Ta, those 4? Why did we put them in the beginning of the word ضرب? Simple as. It's a simple answer. The answer is ليحصل الفرق بين الماضي والمضارع. ليحصل الفرق بين الماضي والمضارع. So there can be a what? So there can be a difference between the ماضي and the مضارع. ضرب is a ماضي. And so to know the difference is that there's زوائد الأربعة that distinguishes it from the ماضي by those, which is أنيت. أنيت goes before it, right? جميل. The 5th question, inshallah ta'ala, is, the 5th question is, Alhamdulillah, يهديكم الله ويصلح بالكم. The 5th question is, لما اختصت به دون الماضي? Why were these حروف أنيت, why were they specifically given to the مضارع and not the ماضي? If your argument is ليحصل الفرق بين الماضي والمضارع, then why don't you just give it to the ماضي? Why the مضارع specifically then? صح? If you were saying that the reason why أنيت was put before the مضارع is to separate it and to distinguish it from the ماضي, then why did you not put أنيت in front of the ماضي and make that a زوائد for the ماضي instead of the مضارع? صح? Does that make sense? The answer to that question is, it's very simple, right? لأن الماضية, because the ماضي أصل, the ماضي is a what? The ماضي is a أصل. جواب مقنع إن شاء الله تعالى. The جواب is going to be what? مقنع. The جواب is لأن الماضي أصل. Because the ماضي is a what? It's an أصل. لأن الماضي أصل. والمضارعة لأن المضارعة is معطوف على الماضية. لأن الماضية والمضارعة, that's what we're going to say. You can't say والمضارع. You have to say what? والمضارعة. لأن المضارعة is معطوف على الماضية. لأن الماضية أصل والمضارعة فرع. The ماضي is a what? The ماضي is a أصل. And the مضارع is a what? It's a فرع. وعدم الزيادة أصل. And the ماضي is a what? أصل. Because it's the مجرد, right? صح. The ماضي is a مجرد. And the مضارع is what? It's got زوائد in it. That's why it's called زوائد الأربعة. صح. It's additional. يعني the مضارع is a what? It's a فرع from the ماضي. Because ضرب, you added something. You built on the ماضي that was already there. So the ماضي is a أصل. The مضارع is a فرع. صح. Which one is the وعدم الزيادة أصل? عدم الزيادة is also أصل. صح. Which one is the أصل? الزيادة أو عدم الزيادة? عدم الزيادة is أصل. أي نعم. So what happened? وعدم الزيادة أصل والزيادة فرع. And the زيادة is a what? It's a فرع. فأعطي الأصل بالأصل والفرع بالفرع قصدا لتعدل. أما قصدا لتعدل. The ماضي is a أصل. The مضارع is a فرع. The عدم الزيادة is a what? أصل. زيادة is a what? فرع. زيادة is a فرع. We gave the أصل to the أصل and the فرع to the فرع. The ماضي is a what? ماضي is أصل. And عدم الزيادة is أصل, right? So we gave ماضي عدم الزيادة. The مضارع is a what? It's a فرع. And زيادة is what? A فرع. فأعطي الأصل بالأصل والفرع بالفرع قصدا لتعدل. So we're fair. That's why the ماضي is what? It doesn't have the زوائد الأربعة. Does that make sense? So that's the question and that was the answer for it. Does that make sense? Okay. What question number are we on? Hey, Ibrahim.
What does asl and fara mean, and what's the difference between asl and fara?
What's the difference? Ibrahim said, what's the difference between asl and a fara? So he said first, what's asl and fara, and then what's the difference between asl and fara? Abu, the asl is something that it's at its original form. It hasn't been changed. Sah? The asl means something that it's the original. And the fara is something that comes from it. Who's the asl? You or me? Who's asl, me or you? Who came from who? So I'm the asl. And you are a fara from me. You came from me. Sah? Do you understand?
Yeah.
هذا هو. So the asl is what? The parents are the asl. And the children are what? Fara from their parents. Sah? The tree is the asl. The branches that come from it is a what? Fara. Does that make sense? That's what asl is and that's what a fara is. Do you understand now? Jameel. So which one is the asl? If you write the word daraba, then you make it yadribu. Yadribu is what? It's a daraba with a ziyada of a ya. So which one is the asl? The madi is the asl. And the mudari' is a what? It's a fara'. عدم الزيادة is a asl. الزيادة فرع. فأعطي الأصل بالأصل والفرع بالفرع. Why did we do that? The reason why we did that, يعني, it's we wanted it قصدا لتعدلي. We want to be fair in each person. We go all asl, go one side. All fara', go one side. I hope that answers the question. That was I answered the fourth question and I answered the fifth question. I told you first three questions. It's in the Laamiyatu Al-Af'aal, so we're going to come to it there inshallah ta'ala. Sah? So fourth question answered. The fifth question's answered. The sixth question now. The sixth question inshallah ta'ala is ما فائدة الابتداء بها. What's the benefit in starting with these huruf zawaid al-arba'a? Sah? Yeah, brothers. What's the benefit of starting with these huruf alaytu? What benefit does it bring? The fa'idah is you can distinguish between what? You'll be able to. The one who's talking, al-mutakallim. Anaytu means what? Ana wa nahnu. Sah? Ana is what? Is a mutakallim, right? The noon is what? It's nahnu. So ana is, the hamza is what? Ana. The noon is what? It's plurality. So you can tell these two are mutakallim. The hamza is a mutakallim and the noon is a mutakallim. You can also tell which one is what? Which is mukhatab. Who you're talking to someone. Tal'abu. You can also distinguish between which is ghaib, absent, and he's not there. The 3 dhamma'ir. That's why we start with these 3. So the benefit is, so we can get from it who is the one who's talking, who is the one who's being spoken to, and who's not there, who's being spoken about. Sah? Or who did the action together with one another, which is musharaka, like nahnu, right? How can we know all of that? By these letters. So that's the benefit of it. Okay, first fa'idah. So we've answered the 4th and 5th and the 6th question, right? Sah? Now we're going to go to the 7th question. 7th question is لما اختير هذه الأحرف دون غيرها. Why were these letters chosen? Why were these letters chosen from the huruf al-hijaiyah? Number 7 was what? لما اختير هذه الأحرف دون غيرها. لما اختير لما اختير هذه الأحرف دون غيرها. Why were these letters chosen from the other alphabetical letters? صح؟ يعني the alphabet ألف باء تاء ثاء جيم حاء خاء دال ذال. Why these 4? What did they have unique? Now this question, okay, the answer that has been given is literally doesn't make sense. And it's not even an answer that makes sense to anyone. But it's good to tell the students of knowledge. And the ulama used to say, knowing the answer of this question is like the men studying ahkamul hayd. And hayd doesn't happen to a man, does it? Yeah. Hayd wa nifas and istihada doesn't happen to a man. Why do you need to know it? So they say that don't be like the 2 men who sat in a dars of ahkamul hayd wa nifas and they were studying it. And one said, listen akhi, billahi alayk atahid. He said, by Allah, do you go through menstruation? No. Wa ana la ahid, and I don't go through menstruation. What are we doing in the dars? It's confusing, it's frying our brain, and it's not something we go through. Yeah. And he got up, he took his shoes, he said, come, let's go, man. This is not for us. And a person shouldn't live like that. Just learn something because it applies to you. It doesn't. Talib ilm wants to learn. Ahkam. I said to you, the brain, brothers and sisters, has to be challenged. We have to put things and study it. Anyways, the answers that I'm going to give here are so far-fetched. And they are, it's just speculations and kalam here or there. If you feel like you're not understanding what I'm saying, ask me and I'll repeat it, inshallah ta'ala. They said, these huruf, al-zawaid al-arba'a, they said they are huruf illah. Ajib. Huruf illah? Okay, the ya in there, okay, we agree. That's harf min huruf illah. There's no niqash about that one. We've got 3 letters left. Hamza. Remember I told you this before. Hamza is what? It can be al-hamza min huruf al-illah عند إعلالها. صح? Like the word سأل, رأى. Hamza here is ma'al illah. We took that before. So from that angle, Hamza can sometimes be written as harf min huruf al-illah. قد يعلل. Sometimes the i'lal can happen to the Hamza. So there's no, okay, that we can concede to. صح? Because remember, سأل, what did we say? It's mu'tal al-ayn. We said that, right? Good. The question here is, what about noon? How did noon become harf min huruf al-illah? They said لأن النون أخت الواو. The answers here are far-fetched, But inshallah ta'ala is good. يحرك العقل. It moves your mind. And just it's good to read these discussions that the grammarians have. The examples that some of the scholars gave was, they gave an example. They said there's a brother who lives in a house. He's got a best friend. His best friend every day comes home and eats with him, and he showers in his house, and maybe some night sleeps over with him. It's his best friend. He's not part of this family, is he? No, he's not part of this family. But because he's nearly every day that he's there, he's with his friend, he's playing games inside the house, they eat together, وهكذا. صح? He then becomes like a member of the family. That's what they said, right? The family, if they're having a meeting, oh no, come on, you're part of the family now. You know? You're part of the family, tal. They see him on the table, he's part of the family discussions. He's become like a member of the family now. They said that the noon is like that. He's ukhtul waw. How? They said that the waw, what does it show? It shows plurality. The noon also shows plurality. That's the answer. تفيد معنى اشتراكيا. It shows what? The noon shows what? The noon had two meanings in it, right? What was the two meanings that were in the noon? The noon is المتكلم معه غيره and المعظم نفسه, صح? So يعني المتكلم معه غيره is جمع. يعني نحن, we. And of course it could be royalty. So they said that the waw also shows what? تفيد معنى اشتراك. From that perspective. عجيب. All of this again, it doesn't make sense. But it's just what they said. I'm conveying what they said. Now, okay. What about the ta? What's the explanation for the ta? They thought this is the ta. They said the ta is التاء تكون عوضا عن الواو عند الإعلان. The ta can take the place of the waw when there is illah in the verb فعل معتل الفاء بالواو المبني من افتعل. For example, the word wasala, for example. The word wasala, you sala, it becomes, right? And then make it is ala wazni ifta'ala. The word came from what? Wasala, right? The word wasala. It became you salah. And then it got converted into what? Make it ala wazni ifta'ala. Because al-mabniyu min ifta'ala, I said. It becomes what? Ittasala. The alif is za'ida. The ta is taking the place of what? The waw. So they said التاء تكون عوضا عن الواو عند الإعلال فعل when it is معتل الفاء العين يعني معتل الفاء بالواو المبني من افتعل. Like the word وصل يوصل أما يتصل, sorry, يتصل, that's what it is, right? It becomes يتصل, that's what it is. And then it becomes اتصل. So افتعل is what? أصله from what? اتصل originally came from what? وصل. Because look, what happened to اتصل قضية الإعلال, right? What happened? حرف علة, before it is a كسرة فتحة اللازمة, and then what? حذف حرف العلة, it will be removed. That's what happened here, that قاعدة that we took before. So here they're saying that's why. Allahu A'lam. I don't know where they got that from. Far-fetched, like in sah. That's what they say. That's why they said these four letters were chosen. Which Hamza? The Hamza we said is min huruf al-illa عند الإعلال. The Hamza can sometimes be, that's صح. صحيح مهموز. نعم قد وقد. The Hamza قد يكون إعلال وقد لا يكون. Remember I mentioned this before. Remember I said, remember when we were talking about the mahmuz, we said that the mahmuz, remember when we were talking about the mazid, remember? We said that if it's mahmuz, the asal is what? لا تتغير. The asl is لا تغير. Sahih Salim doesn't change. Like if it's mahmuz, I said to you, it can change if it's what? If it becomes i'lal, like sa'ala, ra'a, and those words. Okay? It becomes i'lal. وقد لا يكون الإعلان. And I said this, we're going to discuss it, what makes it i'lal and what doesn't make it i'lal, inshallah ta'ala. Other books of sarf, we will look into it, inshallah ta'ala. لذلك some of the scholars, when they mention حروف العلة, they don't mention 3, they actually mention 4. They put the hamza in there. The only difference is that hamza is not always mu'tal. Like the other 3 are generally always mu'tal. Okay? So how many questions have I answered? 4, 5, 6 and 7. Now I got 2 more left from the 6 that were not in the nadam. So the 8th one, inshallah ta'ala, is, this 8th question was لما اختصر عليها لما اختصر عليها لما اختصر عليها لما اختصر عليها. What does it mean? Why did we specify on only 4? Why did we make it 5? Why not 6? Why not 7? Why not 8? Why not 9? Why not 10? Why 4 specifically? That was the reason, right? The scholars have 2 answers to this one. Okay? صح? They have 2 answers. The first view is فعل مضارع originally is what? فعل مضارع الذي لم يتصل بآخره شيء. يعني when I say الذي لم يتصل بآخره شيء, I mean الذي سلم من نون النسوة ونون التوكيد is originally what in grammar? I didn't say مجردة تجرد عن النواصب والجوازم. I didn't mention that. I'm saying to الفعل المضارع الذي سلم من نون النسوة النون التوكيد. I said is what? It's معرب. If نون النسوة نون التوكيد connected to فعل مضارع, it becomes what? مبني. That's the only time it becomes مبني, right? So the فعل مضارع that is free from نون النسوة نون التوكيد, if it's not مبني, it's what? معرب. So the فعل مضارع is معرب, right? إعراب, علامات الإعراب how many? علامات الإعراب how many? علامات الإعراب generally are 4. علامات الإعراب are 4. When we speak about it, what's the first one? الرفع والنصب والخفض والجزم, صح? Therefore, they said the زوائد الأربعة are 4. That's why 4. That's one قول. قياسا, it's a قياس on what? أوجه الإعراب. قياسا على أوجه الإعراب. قياسا على أوجه الإعراب. The 4 here that Anita was brought from, the reason why it was specifically 4 is قياسا على أوجه الإعراب. That's one answer. That seems to be a slightly far-fetched answer. This second one is better. The second answer is better. Why? They said the AMAU fulfills 4 goals that were needed. Hence why it's specifically 4. Which is what? The mutakallim, which is 2 types. Ana and nahnu, which is 2 there. And the mukhatab and the ghaiba. Those are the 4. So we have al-mutakallim biqismayh, with its 2 types, which is 2 there. And the khitab, which is 3. And the 4th one is the ghaiba. That's why the number 4 came. That's another qawl. And that qawl seems better, right? Because that's what the representation of AMAU is, right? صح? متكلم is 2. خطاب is 3. And then ghaiba is 4. Another last and final question, right? The 9th question, which is لما سمي هذا الفعل مضارعا. لما سمي هذا الفعل مضارعا. Why was this فعل called a مضارع? Yeah. Why was this فعل لما سمي هذا الفعل مضارعا؟ لما سمي هذا الفعل مضارعا. Why was it called مضارع? Yeah. Why was it called مضارع and not China? And any other name? Why was it not given to it? And specifically it was called مضارع. The reason is because they said that في اللغة the word al-mudari' originally comes from the word al-dir'. Yeah? Which is a breast, right? And they're saying that fi'il and an isim were breastfed from the same breast. That's what they say. That's why it was called mudari'. Why? The isim and the fi'il mudari' are both what? Mu'rab. Both of them are what? Both of them are mu'rab. The madi is not a mu'rab and the amr is not a mu'rab. Both of them are mibni, right? Madi? No, they're mibni. Madi and the amr are mibni. The mudari' is mu'rab. From there comes two things we do i'rab of, right? الفعل المضارع الذي لم يتصل بآخره شيء and the أفعال الخمسة. صح? Which we said correctly it should be called أمثلة الخمسة. And the isim, 6 comes out of it. اسم مفرد, مثنى, جمع التكسير, جمع ذكر السالم, جمع أنث السالم, and أسماء الخمسة. Those 6 now, with those 8, with those 2 that came from the fi'l, which is الفعل المضارع الذي لم يتصل بآخره شيء أمثلة الخمسة. Those 8 are what you do i'rab of, right? When you're in the chapter of i'rab. So the only fi'l that came out of it was what? الفعل المضارع. فعل المضارع is only the one we do i'rab of. Pay attention here. ماضي went as مبني. مبني. Amr went مبني. So they said, why is مضارع مبني for? Sorry, why is the مضارع a mu'rab for? And the isim a mu'rab for? Why? Because the reason it's mu'rab is we need to distinguish one from the other. If I said to you, ضرب زيد عمرا, زيد عمرا, you know who? Who is the ضارب and the مضروب? Who was hit and who hit? How do you distinguish between it? زيد فاعل, عمرا the مفعول. خلاص. يعني إعراب, what it does for you, it tells you who did what. The same is what فعل مضارع requires. And there's a common example that the scholars give, like لا تأكل السمك, أما لا تأكل السمك وتشرب اللبن. صح? Another example, the scholars they say لا تأكل السمك وتشرب اللبن, أما لا تأكل السمك وتشرب اللبن. Focus on the fi'l mudari' here. The first one I said was, the first one is what? لا تأكل السمك, لا تأكل السمك, do not eat samak. وتشرب اللبن, what's prohibited from you here? نهيت عن الجمع بينهما. All that's prohibited from you here is don't have them both together. You can have them separately, but you can't have them together. When I said what? وتشرب اللبن. Okay. When I said لا تأكل السمك وتشرب اللبن, it became what? You can't have both of them. نهيت بالكلية. And when I said لا تأكل السمك وتشرب اللبن, you have been prohibited from eating the fish, but you're allowed to drink what? The milk. تشرب, تشربي, تشربوا. It requires what? That those harakat distinguished one from the other for us. Does that make sense? So the mudari' requires i'rab to distinguish which one is which. Just like the ism. So they're brothers. That's why it's called al-mudari', they said. It comes from the word dar', breastfed. They're the same, yani. That's one issue. And then many other similarities that they have. That's why they said it's given the word mudari'. Which one? No, the other meanings that would come to the sentence. For example, لا تأكل السمك وتشرب اللبن. There are many ma'ani that can come if you didn't see the haraka. The same with here right now is the Zaydun and Amr. You need, by the haraka, you're distinguishing many meanings that can come to it. Whatever that meaning is, بغض النظر. But it will narrow down what is meant in this sentence. صحيح? Like in the Madi and the Amr don't require that. They don't need that.
Can you read the 2 reasons why it's called mudari'?
The reason why it's called mudari' is 2 qawl. One I'm just going to mention and that's enough for you guys. The other one, yeah, I only mentioned one sahih. The other one, it's I can mention it, inshallah ta'ala, you can write it if you want to. But the first reason I gave is that the word al-mudari' comes from the word al-dirah. صح? يعني ارتضعا, both of them got breastfed what? من ضرع واحد. من ضرع واحد means from one breast milk. One breast milk. One breast. Both of them got breastfed. Or they are أخوان من الرضاعة, or brothers that were breastfed together. Or actually one breast they took the milk from. In other words, here what it means is that the ism and the fi'l mudari' are similar. يعني متشابهان, they are similar in some aspects. From the things that they are similar in both of them is the fact that both of them are mu'rab. Both of them require i'rab. So you can, all the other ma'ani يعني comes to the mind, i'rab is, what is it meant to do? I'rab, it clarifies all of that for you. Fi'l mudari' needs that. An ism needs that. Whereas a madi and amr don't require that, that's why they are mibni. The second reason that he mentioned is the ism fa'il. If you look at fil harakati was sakanat, and the fi'l mudari' is the same. Write the word rib. صح؟ صح؟ ضارب, right? So what happened? Write the word ضارب. You got dad, yeah. You write the word ضارب. ضارب. What's the haraka of the first letter? Fatha. What's the second? No, sukun. The third? Kasra. And the last is? So it doesn't matter here, waqf. So we have darib. We have fatha, sukun, kasra. Are we all together? The first 3 letters are what? Fatha, sukun, and kasra. That's an ismu fa'il, right? Turn it into a mudari'. The word darib, mudari'. يضرب, right? What's the first letter for يضرب? Fatha. Second, sukun. Third, kasra. Same. The harakat and the sakanat of ismu fa'il and the mudari', they said it's the same. Are we all together? هكذا قالوا.
It's first ضارب and يضرب. So ضارب is first fatha and sukun and kasra, and يضرب is fatha, sukun and kasra.
Same. So they're the same in what? يعني مشابهة لاسم الفاعل في الحركات والسكنات, right? جميل. Does everyone understand that? Yeah, or am I only talking to myself? Yeah? I'm only talking to myself, right?
Yeah.
I'm talking to myself.
No.
Okay, now we're going to go to the 3 that Ibn Malik mentioned, and we're going to conclude today's class, inshallah, with that. Once we take the 3 that Ibn Malik mentions, we will conclude the class. So now, our young brother, Ibrahim, is going to read for us, inshaAllah ta'ala, is going to read for us, inshaAllah ta'ala, the 3 questions at the beginning. We all know what the 3 questions are. The first question was what? ما يفتح به المضارع. That was the first question, صح? Hey, Guled was the second. Ibrahim mentioned the first. The second is yours. ما يحرك به الحرف المفتتح به. Hey, Saad, what's the third one? ما حكم الحركة التي قبل آخره. Those 3 I said are going to be answered by who? Ibn Malik in his Nadam. So let's go for it now. Hey, start from the beginning again. ببعض. Start from there, no problem.
ببعض نأتي المضارع افتتح وله.
The author رحمه الله here he said ببعض some نأتي المضارع افتتح. يعني افتتح, he's trying to say to you وجوبا, واجب, it's واجب. يعني افتتح وجوبا المضارع. Do what? Whether that mudari', it doesn't matter whether the mudari' is ruba'i or thulathi or the khumasi or the sudasi, does it really matter? Here, an A2 only applies to certain ones. Why? Why doesn't it? Why do? No, I said the mudari' here, that you start with these zawaid al-arba'a. Is it specific to the thulathi and the ruba'i and not the khumasi and the sudasi, or is it specific to one of them or 2 of them or 3 of them, or it applies to all of them? I didn't say the haraka, I'm asking you the zawaid, the alif, the hamza, the noon, the ya and the ta. So it applies to all of them, right? هذا هو. Now what's the why? Why? Well, how does it apply to all of them? Why? Yeah?
Because they're all taken.
Because at the beginning of my set, we're talking about al-fi'l al-shamil, al-mudari' al-shamil. Mudari' here we're talking about al-shamil. It's the rules we're mentioning here over the board. It's not specific to certain this and certain that. Before we were only talking about thulathi. I said to you before, everything we're mentioning here, inshallah ta'ala, applies to the thulathi, ruba'i, khumasi, sudas. See, sah. So the starting with an A2 is what? This starts with the. Now, I'll tell you, brothers, something. The author, rahimahullah, said, بِبَعْضِ نَأْتِ الْمُضَارِعَ افتتح. Again, 2 points that we could correct the nadam with. The first one, he said, بِبَعْضِ some. This is incorrect. If he says, Ibn Malik is saying, some of na'ti, bring it in the mudari', then that means 2 of them or 3 of them can be entered at the same time. And the zawaid al-arba'a, only 1 enters at a time. So what would you say? So instead of saying ببعض, we can say يعني بواحد نأتي المضارع افتتح. And you just come with one.
So ببعض is wrong.
And yeah, ببعض here means some. So does that mean the verb, we have to put some of the zawaid al-arba'a in there, or just one at a time?
One at a time.
Yeah, 1 at a time. So ببعض here فيه نظر. That's number 1. That's a mistake on that side. It can give a wrong impression. He doesn't, Ibn Malik, intend, of course, يعني, but a person can misunderstand it like that. Another thing is الكمال لله تبارك وتعالى. The second thing is here is that he says the word na'ti, and he's saying it na'ti would have been better if he said anaytu instead of na'ti. And even though it's an acronym, instead of saying anaytu na'ti, he should have said anaytu. The reason is for that is when you order it, it's the same letters, nothing has changed.
He just mentioned, you know when alif, ta, ya, but we want to choose it as alif and
Noon,
ya, ta.
ya, ta. Why do we want to choose it as anaytu and not na'ti? Yeah? Huh? Huh? Ha. The reason why we want to do it is because anaytu has a benefit for us when we do it like that. And the benefit that we want to bring out of here is that ليكون كل حرف ضعف ما قبله.
What is that?
ليكون. I'll tell you, I'll explain it to you. The reason why we're going to say anaytu is ليكون كل حرف ضعف ما قبله. So each letter, as we're going, each letter shows double of what the other one was showing. I'll show you now. Write down an A2. If you write down an A2, everybody just scribble down an A2. Alif, sorry, Hamza, Noon, Ya and Ta. Okay. An A2, the Hamza only shows 1. So just write number 1. Times 2, 1. 1 times 2. 2. So it shows double. ضعف ما قبله. So then Noon is going to show 2. صح? What's the double of 2? 4. The Ya is going to show what? 4. And the Ta is going to show what? Double of 4 is what? 8. Double of 4 is what? Yeah. It's 8, right? That's how كل حرف ليكون كل حرف يدل على ضعف ما قبله.
Oh, so 1 shows what's more than 1 is 2, and then what's more than 2, like 2, double of 2 is 4.
Huh.
Like bring 2 and 2.
No, I'm going to show you each letter from all those 4 letters. Each one, the ma'na that's in it is ضعف ما قبله. So for example, the Hamza, it's only used for what? المتكلم وحده. كأقوم. كأقوم. I can understand. That's it. So it only shows one meaning. So this order is better. The student of knowledge, an A2. That's like inati confuses the person, goes it's all over the place. So the alif shows what? The hamza shows what? الدالة على المتكلم وحده. A person who's speaking by himself. So it becomes كأقوم, I'm standing. The noon shows what? 2 meanings. The noon is going to show what? يعني قام was the word. I want to say I stood up. What do I say? أقوم. It shows only one meaning. The أقوم cannot show any other meaning other than what? المتكلم وحده. صح? What about if I say نقوم? نقوم, it shows 2 meanings. Yeah? What does it show? It shows someone who's talking and with him is other people involved as well. It shows plurality. It shows المتكلم معه غيره. نقوم, all of us are standing. That's one meaning it has. It also has another meaning which is المعظم نفسه, the one who's glorifying himself and royalty. صح? هذا هو. Then we have what? The ya. The ya shows what? The ya shows 4. What are the 4 that it shows? It shows al-ghaib al-wahid. One person who is absent. يقوم. صح? Al-ghaibaini, 2 men who are absent. يقومani. Al-ghaibat, many women who are absent. Al-ghaibina, many men who are absent. Third party, right? Third person. Those are the 4 meanings it shows when it's what? Yeah. The 8th that it shows when it's what? When it's ta is, it's a mukhatab, 1 man talking. Al-mukhatibaini, 2 men who are talking. Al-mukhataba, a woman who's talking. 1 woman who's talking. 1 woman who's been spoken to, sorry. So the first one is 1 man who's been spoken to. So the first one was al-mukhatab, 1 man that's been spoken to. The second one is 2 men that have been spoken to. 3 one is 1 woman who's been spoken to. Al-mukhatibataini, 2 women who have been spoken to. Al-mukhatibat, many women who have been spoken to. Al-ghaibah, a woman who's absent. Al-ghaibataini, 2 women who are absent. Al-mukhatibina, many men who are being addressed. Yani many men. Those are the 8 meaning that it what? That it has. This is what? The benefit of saying an A2 and not نأتي. Okay? So هي ببعض نأتي المضارع افتتح هي وله هي
وله ضم إذا بالرباع مطلقا وصلا
هيا.
وافتحه متصلا بغيره.
Here the author rahimahullah, look at this, pay attention here. He goes into the second question. The first question is answered for you. What was the first question, brothers and sisters? ما يفتح به المضارع. What do we start the mudari' with? أنيت. That question is answered, right? أنيت. He already told you. ببعض نأتي المضارع افتتح. So the first question is answered, which is أنيت. He said نأتي, but we chose أنيت, right? And we gave our reason why we chose that. The second question was what? ما يحرك به الحرف المفتتح به, right? The أنيت that we chose, yeah, the أنيت, what haraka do we place on top of it? The hamza, the noon, the ya, and the ta. What haraka do we place on it? In this bayt he mentions it. Write this down. It's two haraka. It's either a dam or it's a fatha. صح? It's either what? A dam or al-fatha. Are we all together? The dam is what? يعني dam is wajib. What is it wajib lakin? So the first one I'm going to speak about is what? Ad-dammu. Please pay attention. We're coming to the end, inshallah ta'ala. The dam is what? So the two, the haraka ma yuftatahu bihi are two. What were they? Ad-dam and al-fatha. I'll explain which one is which. Ad-dam is wajib إذا اتصلت بمضارع ماضيه رباعي. The madi is a ruba'i. The madi is a what? Like in the wazn of what? Fa'alala. It comes from a word that is madi, and ruba'i is only fa'alala. Like dahraja. Then this one, yeah, it starts with a dhamma. Dahraja becomes what? Yudahriju. Udahriju. Nudahriju. Tudahriju. صح? The dhamma is placed on it, and it's wajib. What about if it's mazid? By the way, if it's mazid, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Same thing. What? Mazid, like akrama becomes what? Ukrimu. Sah? That's mazid. Akrama becomes yukrimu. And this is ijma'un عند الجميع. All of them agree on this. Is there a khilaf on this mas'ala? No. There's an ijma' on the different lughat that the Arabs speak, whether it be Quraysh or Kinana or Bani Tamim or Qais or Rabi'a, all of them agree that this is how it is. They agree that it's dam if it's a إذا اتصلت بمضارع ماضيه رباعي مجردا كان أو مزيدا. It doesn't matter. They all agree that it's dam wajib. That it's dam and it's also wajib. This is the one they differ on, which is al-fatah. But you have to understand what they agree on and what they disagree on. Mahallul wifaq and mahallul khilaf, you have to understand. The mahallul ittifaq is what? They all agree that the fatha is placed إذا اتصلت بمضارع ماضيه ثلاثي, like ضرب يضرب, أما خماسي كإنطلق ينطلق, أو سداسي كاستغفر يستغفر. They agree on that one, that if the مضارع is connected to a ماضي that is ثلاثي or خماسي or سداسي, that the fatha is placed. Like ضرب is a ثلاثي, right? It becomes يضرب. Or it's a خماسي, انطلق it came from ينطلق. Or it's a سداسي, it came from استغفر, it becomes يستغفر. يستغفر. They agree, قريش and Kinana and Banu Tamim and Qais and Rabi'a all agree that fatha it starts with it. But they don't agree with Quraysh and Kinana that it's wajib that it has to start with a fatha. Quraysh believe it's what? Quraysh believe it's wajib that it has to start with a fatha. وَبِلُغَتِهِمْ نَزَلَ الْقُرْآنِ. The Qur'an came in whose language? Quraysh and Kinana. So they believe that the fatha is wajib. Lakin Banu Tamim and Qais and Rabi'a all believe that it's jaiz. Does that make sense? Jaiz. They believe you can start with a fatha if you want to, and also you can start with a kasra. Are we all together? It's not wajib. And now Ibn Malik is going to go into the khilaf that Banu Tamim and Qais and Rabi'a mentioned. Are we all together? Quraysh and Kinana is their languages the Qur'an came down on. So inshallah ta'ala now we're going to go into the Tamimiyin and the Qais and Rabi'a, what they brought to the table, what they said. Hey, Ibrahim's going to read for us. وَلِغَيْرِ الْيَاءِ كَسْرًا here inshallah ta'ala.
ولغير الياء كسرا أجز في الآتي من فعلا أو ما تصدر همز الوصل فيه أو التاء زائدا كتزكى وهو قد نقلا في الياء وفي غيرها إن ألحق بأباء أو ما له الواو فالنحو قد وجلا.
Now we're going to see the kasr that the other tribes like Banu Tamim and Qais and Rabi'a introduced. Okay, what did they say? They said kasr is actually allowed في خمسة مواضع, in 5 situations that you can actually put kasra. Whereas Quraysh and Kinana are actually saying what? No. Every time it's fatha wajib. It's wajib. Lakin Qais and Banu Tamim and Rabi'a are saying la. There are 5 situations when it's actually allowed for a person to put a kasra. The first situation they said if it's fa'ila, if it's min babi fa'ila, الذي لم يكن أوله واو. The first letter isn't a waw. The first letter is not? It's not mu'talul ayn. Mu'talul fa. It's min babi fa'ila and it's not mu'talul fa. Like the word fariha. They said in this situation it becomes tifrahu, nifrahu and ifrahu. We don't have to say tafrahu like you guys would say it, ya Quraysh and Kinana, and nafrahu and tafrahu, afrahu. You can't say, it's permissible for you if it's fa'ila and it's not mu'tallul, the fa'ul kalima is not mu'tallul waw, yeah, then in this situation they said it's permissible to put a kasra here. Okay, that's the first situation they mentioned. The second situation they mentioned is al-fi'lu alladhi ibtudi'a bi hamzatil wasl. And hamzatul wasli are 9. We've already taken it when we were speaking about the awzan. They are 9. Those 9 situations, pay attention, which it starts with, the awzan starts with al-hamzatul wasli. It starts with what? Hamzatul wasli. They believe it is permissible for you to do what? It is permissible for you to start with kasra. So like the wazn of intalaqa, they say you can say intaliqu, tintaliqu, nintaliqu. صح? The word istaghfara, they believe you can say tistaghfaru, tistaghfiru, sorry, nistaghfiru, and istaghfiru. When we say astaghfiru, nastaghfiru, tastaghfiru, they put kasra there. The third one is الفعل الذي ابتدأ بتاء زائدة, which is only 3 we already previously took. Ta زائدة, which is tazakka, for example. They said you can say, for example, nitazakka and titizakka, itazakka, you can say that, they said. And the fourth one Ibn Malik mentions here when he said في الباء وفي غيرها إن ألحق بأبا. Aba, for example, the fourth situation they said is Aba. Aba, they said, you say Yiba, صح? Niba, Tiba, and Iba. Just specific to Aba. Only Aba. And the fifth situation they mention is Babu fa'ila, if alladhi awwaluhu waw, if there's a waw at the beginning. Sah? Like the what? Wajila, yujalu, 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 they said. Tiujalu, niujalu, iujalu. That's what they said. Remember the qa'idah lakin that enters this. I'm not mentioning the qa'idah, I'm trying to make it easy for you to understand. Is والواو إن يسكن وما قبل كسر فقلبها ياء كميزان اشتهر. The word mizan originally came from what? Miuzani. Miuzanu, صح? Like the word qawl, right? It becomes what? Quwila. It became qiwla. And then it became qila. It became what? Qila. So remember all of those, inshallah ta'ala. So don't, yani, wajila, remember what it becomes. It becomes yijalu, tijalu, nijalu, ijalu. That's how it becomes. The qa'idah, remember to keep the qa'idah in mind. In simple terms, something you did in all sense. The first three mawadi'ul khamsa that I mentioned, ya is not in there. So for example, fariha, you can't say yifrahu. Ya is not in there. It's only tifrahu, nifrahu, and ifrahu from the zawaid al-arba'a. Ya is missing. The same, that was al-fi'l babu fa'ila alladhi lam yakun awwaluhu wa'wan. And the second one is al-fi'lu alladhi ibtudi'a bi hamzati al-wasli. Again, ya can't be in there. You can say intaliqu, you can say tintaliqu, you can say nintaliqu, you can say that. You can say tistaghfiru, nistaghfiru. You can say istaghfiru. Ya is not in there. The third one is also the same. الفعل الذي ابتدأ بتاء زائدة. تزكى, نتزكى, تتزكى, اتزكى. Ya is not in there. Like the other two, which is aba, ya is in there. Babu fa'ila الذي أوله واو. That is also in there. Ya is in there. That's why some of you might have thought to yourself, why did he say Babu fa'ila alladhi lam yakun awwaluhu wawan, and then later he says Babu fa'ila alladhi awwaluhu waw? He could have just, if this lam yakun awwaluhu waw, alladhi awwaluhu waw, he could have just said Babu fa'ila. Khalas, that would have been better, right? The reason why he separated the two for you is because when it's alladhi lam yakun awwaluhu waw, ya can't enter it. Lakin if it is Babu fa'ila alladhi awwaluhu waw, then yes, ya enters it. So those are, anyways, those are the answer to the second question that we asked, which is al-haraka al-harf al-muftatahu bihi al-mudari'. Okay? Does that make sense? هيا تفضل. تفضل.
I got confused because you said that فيجوز كسر في فاء الكلمة. It's not allowed for it to be معتل بالواو. But then وجد and you can do يجوز بكسر.
I didn't get your question. What was the question?
You said for فاء الكلمة يجوز بالكسر بنو تميم and قيس and the third tribe they believe that.
Which one?
فاء الكلمة يجوز بالكسر.
I'm talking about when it's mudari'.
Yeah.
When it's mudari', not when it's madi.
Yeah, for the pattern of fa'il.
No. I'm talking about when the fi'l is mudari' and zawaidul arba'a enter it. If it's a mudari', if it's a ruba'i that it comes from, like fa'lala. Are we all together? Whether it's mujarrad or it's mazid, it doesn't matter. It starts with a dhamm and that's wajib. عند الجميع. So دحرج is a ruba'i. صح؟ على وزن فعللة. Is it not? Start with a زوائد الأربعة. يدحرج you say. أدحرج ندحرج تدحرج. Put that aside. What about if it's a mazid? It doesn't matter as well. Like أكرم, يكرم, أكرم, نكرم, تكرم. No problem. They all agree that it's fath wajib over the board. Quraysh believes that, Kinana believes that, يعني Banu Tamim believe that, Qais believe that, Rabi'a believe that's fine. The discussion here is when it's a fatha. The fatha only applies when it's thulati, because Ruba'i already spoke about it. Ruba'i is when it's dhamm. Thulathi, khumasi, sudasi, if it comes from that, and you added the Zawaid al-Arba'a to it, it becomes what? Fath is wajib. Banu Tamim and Qais al-Rabi'a, they say, we believe it's fatha, no problem, but we don't believe it's wajib. It's not wajib. It's jaiz. It's permissible, you can. So they believe you can do that. It's jaiz. You can also say this if you want to. يعني instead of saying أنطلقوا, they say you can say انطلقوا. Jaiz. No problem. They believe, does it make sense? They're not saying their one is wajib. They're just saying it's jaiz. Yours is jaiz and this is jaiz. عرفت?
But does jaiz al-kasra come into wajina?
So the word, if it's fa'ila, I said, and it's mu'talu waw. صح?
If
If it's
it's not,
mu'talu waw. فعيلة معتل الواوي. Sorry, معتل الفاء. The فاء of the kalima is معتل بالواوي. In this situation, it is يعني كسرة can go in there. جائز, يجوز. It's permissible. And I only was explaining to you فعل الذي لم يكن أوله واوا. الذي أوله واو. Why did he separate it? We could have just added it under one and just could have just said باب فعيلة and that's it. The reason he separated it is one, is that الذي لم يكن أوله واو, ya doesn't enter there. Does it make sense? Ya does not enter it. لكن الذي أوله واو, like وجلة, you can say يوجل. يوجل, صح? Which again, remember the qa'idah I said, keep in mind the qa'idah. I'm only doing that because some students will get confused if I give them the final version of it. Actually, it's meant to be yijalu. That's how it's meant to be, right? Because of the principle I mentioned. والواو إن يسكن وما قبل انكسر فقلبها ياء كميزان اشتهر. So Mahan, we all understand, right? The last question is left. We answered two questions Ibn Malik answered for us. What was the two questions he answered, Ibn Malik? The first question, which was ما يفتتح به المضارع. He responded to that ببعض نأتي المضارع افتتح وله. He also answered for us now, alhamdulillah, ما يحرك به الحرف المفتتح به, صح? He answered that by saying وله ضم إذا بالرباعي until he said قد وجلا. He's answered that. He answered that. There's no reason for you to want to know the answer to that. Now we're going to go to the third question, صح? ذا الباب. He answered it there. Yeah? Now we're going to take the last and final one. Ibrahim's going to read us وكسر ما قبله آخر المضارع. Hey Ibrahim, read the last two lines.
وكسر ما قبل آخر المضارع من ذا الباب يلزم إن ماضي قد حضلا
هيه.
زيادة التاء أولا وإن حصلت له فما قبل الآخر افتحا بولا.
So before we go into the last one, inshallah ta'ala, we'll just take another 10 minutes break, inshallah ta'ala, 10 minutes break. And we'll carry on after that, inshallah ta'ala. Just 10 minutes break. I'll see you guys soon, inshallah. Okay, now inshallah ta'ala we're going to answer the last and final question. Inshallah ta'ala now we're going to answer the last and final question inshallah ta'ala, which I asked you, which was ما حكم الحركة التي قبل آخره. What is the haraka, the sign, the symbol, the haraka, the tashkil on the second last letter, right? Those three, inshallah ta'ala, Ibn Malik answered those three first questions, and the other 6 I already gave it to you in advance. Those 9 answers, when you have them memorized, you understood them, brothers and sisters, you can say, I know what fi'l mudari' is. So now, inshallah ta'ala, we're going to do the last and final question, and we will close there, inshallah ta'ala. Ibrahim, read your final last point for today's class, inshallah ta'ala. وَكَسْرُ هيا again one more time for us. وَكَسْرُ
وكسر ما قبل آخر المضارع من ذا الباب يلزم إن ماضيه قد حضلا زيادة التاء أولا وإن حصلت له فما قبل الآخر افتحا بولا.
So now inshallah ta'ala, what is the haraka of the second last letter? It's one of two, either al-fath or al-kasrah. Simple. It's either what? Fath or what? Or kasrah. Okay? So inshallah ta'ala, take this down. It's either fath or kasrah. The kasrah is wajib. في المضارع الذي ليس ماضيه مبدوءا بتاء زائدة. Okay, pay attention to this. The kasrah, it's a must in the mudari' that the madi did not start with a ta. The madi cannot start with a ta. Okay? Then and only then the mudari' when he enters it, the zawaidul arba'a, kasra is going to be obligatory for the last to second. Okay? Second to last, sorry. Like dahraja. Yudahriju. Look at the ra. Yudahriju we say, right? Istaghfara. Look at the ra again. Yastaghfiru. So the fa. Yastaghfiru. Look at the fa before the ra. It's a kasra. Intalaqa. Look at the lam. Intalaqa becomes what? Yanbaliqu. And then the second to last is kasra, right? That's when, like, when is it wajib? الذي ليس ماضيه, the madi that it came from, the mudari', the madi it came from, ليس مبدوءا بتاء زائدة. It cannot have ta' زائدة in it. It can't start with a ta' زائدة. But what about if it starts with a ta' زائدة? If it starts with a ta' زائدة, it becomes al-fath wajib. The fatha becomes wajib. If the madi it came from the mudari', it's bita'in زائدة, like tadahraja. Tadahraja is the madi, right? Yeah. Tadahraja, you want to add you want to Guled, how do you know tadahraja? That ta is not min zawaid al-arba'a. Before we go into something, tadahraja, that ta, how do you know it's not? Because I just said tadahraja is still madi. Tadahraja is madi. Guled, how do you know it from the mudari'? Because remember we said before that the mudari' is min zawaid al-arba'a. The word was dahraja. Dahraja. The ta entered it before it. It became tadahraja. And I'm still saying to you it's a madi, it's not a mudari'. And this ta is what? Min zawaid al-arba'a. How do you know? How do you? Sa'ad, do you know it? What's mabni al-fath? Ha. The ha. No. Hey.
Is it because it's fatha?
Fatha where?
The ta.
Sahih. Look at the ta. Before I just said to you, if it comes from the word dahraja, it has to be a dhamma on it, right? Wajib. The ta here which is on there, it's not got a dhamma on it, it's got a fatha on it. So you still know it's a madi. It was meant to be what? Tudahriju. That's when it's mudari'. But because it became tadahraja, we know it's a what? It's a madi. Does that make sense? So now it became tadahraja. We want to put in there مبدوء بتاء زائدة. There's a ta زائدة here. هي, it becomes what? يتدحرج. Now there's a fatha on it. تعلم, it came from. هي, what do we say if we want to put فعل مضارع in it? يتعلم, it becomes, right? يتعلم. So then the fatha is wajib if the مضارع الذي بدأ ماضيه بتاء زائدة. That was, and the dam is what? الذي ليس ماضيه مبدوءا بتاء زائدة. That's the two situations of what? Of the third question that we answered, which is what? حركة ما قبل آخره. Yeah, the حركة of the second to last, right? That is, inshallah ta'ala, is what we wanted, inshallah ta'ala, to speak about. Anything which I have said whilst explaining this book, any mistakes or shortcomings that I came with, is from me, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger are both free from it. What I do want to say, brothers and sisters, is we're going to carry on the Laamiyatu al-Af'aal, inshallah ta'ala. We're going to carry on after the know your knowledge, know your knowledge conference finishes, inshallah ta'ala. I'm going to now be doing, inshallah ta'ala, tomorrow, Manzumatu Zamzamiyah. 3 days I have, inshallah ta'ala. I'm going to hope to finish all of it. And then what's going to happen, inshallah, after that is our brother Sheikh Muhammad Tim Humble, Hafidhahullahu wa Ra'ah, is then going to explain Kashf al-Shubuhat, inshallah ta'ala, after my classes finish, Manzumatu Zamzamiyah finishes. And then once Sheikh Muhammad Tim Humble explains his Kashf al-Shubuhat, he finishes it, then inshallah ta'ala I'll go back to my Laamiyatu al-Af'aal after his, and it will be uploaded on YouTube, and you will be able to watch the complete explanation of Laamiyatu al-Af'aal, inshallah ta'ala, bi'idhnillahi al-kareem. Again, I encourage each and every one of you, I urge you to go back and listen to the lesson again and again and again. I also say, brothers and sisters, if you memorize, it helps a lot. Yes, it does. Memorization aids you and supports you a lot. It helps with the understanding. So if you memorize, inshallah ta'ala, you will understand better, bi'idhnillahi al-kareem. I ask Allah tabarak wa ta'ala that He rewards you all with good and khair wherever you are in the world, and Allah tabarak wa ta'ala eases your affairs and keeps you all healthy. إنه ولي ذلك والقادر عليه. I also ask all of you to make dua for my son Ibrahim, who mashallah kept up with us in the recitation and the reading of the manzuma, that Allah protects him and his mother and his father. Also, I specifically ask all of you to make dua for myself, that Allah gives me tawfiq and sadad, protects harm from me, and also the entire AMAU team, who may Allah bless them all and preserve them, that they went out of their way to really organize this conference, to really put it together, to make sure that the cameras were rolling, to make sure that the microphones were on, and the lights and everything, keeping tap of everything, working behind the scenes. And wallahi, brothers and sisters, people don't understand that the responsibility or the role of the teachers is very small compared to what the other team members are doing. They're the ones who are working a lot, and their efforts are not seen. So I ask Allah tabarak wa ta'ala that He blesses them, Allah honors them, Allah gives them what they want in this world and the hereafter. Also, I thank them for giving myself this opportunity all the time to convey the message of Islam and to educate you all, because I've honestly understood that if you want to spread the message of Islam, it's not something you can do by yourself, brothers and sisters. A person can't do something by themselves. It's not enough that I know this, I understand this. It's not enough. You need a team. You need people who help you. And so I ask Allah tabarak wa ta'ala, He blesses them subhanahu wa ta'ala for thinking good of their brother and trusting them to teach the people. Also, May Allah bless the author of this book, Ibn Malik rahimahullah, who facilitated this knowledge for us, authored it, and years later people are still memorizing it and learning it. May Allah tabarak wa ta'ala add this to his mizan of hasanat. Innahu waliyu dhalika wal qadiru alayh. Brothers and sisters, may Allah preserve you all, grant you guys Jannatul Firdaus. May also Allah tabarak wa ta'ala reward the brothers students who are here, who are listening, who had to endure my strictness in asking questions, Brother Guled and Saad and Ibrahim and Abu Salih, that Allah also rewards them subhanahu wa ta'ala and gives them knowledge, vast knowledge, and also makes this for them, من سلك طريقا يلتمس فيه علما سهل الله له به طريقا إلى الجنة. That Allah makes this a path for them to Jannah. And all of you who from the first day and until now was coming, even if you felt like sometimes I couldn't understand it, may Allah reward you for it subhanahu wa ta'ala. And also the ones who wanted to come but were not able to come, also may Allah add it to your scale of righteous deeds. Brothers and sisters, wallahi, Allah is my witness, I love you all wherever you are around the world. My dua is with you, and I'm going to conclude there inshaAllah ta'ala. It was an honor teaching. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.